Okay, ladies first. It doesn't matter. I thought that you would answer, then I would do my answer. Trying to take turns.
We'll take turns. I don't think I have her glasses, but I can't really see.
Leave mine. Oh, who cares? Jesus. Are we allowed to have a domestic?
No. Not allowed. Okay. I'm going to push the button. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's webinar. We are so happy to be joining you here. Every week, the Exercise Therapy Association is showing up to help you guys out, to educate you, to keep you guys moving forward. And you definitely are going to get a treat today. And so you'll be so happy that you tuned in and joined us for today's webinar because we have some very special guests. I'm excited for it. I hope you guys are excited for it. We are going to be learning a ton today from some strength experts. So if you stick around to the end today, people, you are going to get some great information. You're going to get some solid takeaways on how to program for strength training. You're going to get some solid takeaways on techniques and things you can implement into your training programs. And you're going to get a lot of information on how you can maximize your strength using kettlebells and all different implements. So it's going to be awesome. I'm super excited. I hope you guys are excited. Stick around to the end today because you're going to get a lot of amazing information. So with that in mind, and without further ado, I'm going to introduce our guests today. So I have the honor and luxury of chatting with Ken and Sheri Whetham today. Ken and Sheri are legend in the Canadian powerlifting world. They both have resumes very long, so I won't say it all, but I'll give you a few highlights. So Sheri has won over 20 kettlebell national competitions. She's a candidate for Masters of Sport, the third highest ranking in kettlebells. She's won a gold cup at the Arnold's, and she's a sponsored athlete with Elite FTS. She's got a 2014 and 2016 World Powerlifting Championship. So absolutely awesome resume. And then we have her husband, Ken Whetham, who is a champion in his own right. He has a world championships in kettlebells. He is a sponsored athlete with Elite FTS as well. He's won 3 Canadian national championships in powerlifting and won a gold medal in the World Powerlifting Championships, as well as a Fire Fit national title. So not just strong, but athletic as well too. So those are our guests today, Ken and Sheri. How are you guys doing?
We're good, Jeff. How you doing?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for making me turn red.
Thank you so much for coming today, guys. I really appreciate you sacrificing some time for us. How have you guys been keeping during the last few months of COVID? Obviously, things have changed.
Yes, we're working from home together, so it's changed quite a bit. And
lots of domestics.
We're in close quarters, as you can see behind my office is there and Ken's is there. So it's very close quarters, but we're managing. Yeah. We're actually getting out on breaks together, so we're doing good.
Yeah, so far so good.
Good. Definitely working in close quarters like that presents some different and unique challenges every single day.
100%.
I'm sure you're not alone. There's a lot of families and couples that are dealing with that. So
yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. So you guys have been getting outside and doing some different things. And so what have you enjoyed most over the last little bit with the warm weather?
Oh,
I'm going to say the golf and the hikes on the beach. And yeah, we're getting out golfing again, which was our passion quite a few years ago. So we're back at it and
learning some new swear words.
Well, it's great to have the time to be able to do that. And you know, enjoy some of the things that maybe got away from you in the past.
Oh yeah,
awesome.
For sure. Yeah,
100%.
it's fun. It's fun for sure.
And our dog Gunner, he keeps us hiking in the woods and the beach, and yeah, he keeps us active.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, I mean, I already knew you guys were good people, but when you have a dog like that, you're even better people. I'm a dog person myself, so definitely. So we have a bunch of people joining us live here today, and some people going to be watching later that are looking to learn from you guys. So we'll dive into some things. Guys, if you're listening live, give us a hi, give us a wave in the Facebook chat there so we can see who's with us. And as we go, if you guys have questions for Ken and Sheri, write them in the chat and I will feed them to them. We definitely want to answer any of the questions that you guys have as we go along the way. So we'll get started with just talking about your fitness journey. So each of you guys have been in fitness for a long time and have competed and trained for a long time. So maybe just Sheri, we'll start with you. Tell us about your fitness journey, where you came from and how you got to where you are right now.
Well, pretty much all my life I've been pretty athletic with sports, mostly basketball, volleyball, baseball, golf. It wasn't until about 15 years ago we discovered some kettlebells and a few little tools that Ken discovered on the internet when you search for something different. I did have a setback though, so my journey actually started after my major back surgery in 2009. Major back surgery with rods and bolts put in my back. I was pretty much under no lifting restrictions for almost a year. Once I was able to got the green light from my surgeon, I was able to start with kettlebells and some rehab and light lifting, and I fell in love with kettlebells, and I started to do the big three with Ken. Got me training lightly with squat, bench, and deadlift, and it just blossomed from there. I got my setback made me stronger, so I learned from my setback. So I used it as a gift, and I got stronger than I was before my surgery. And once I started with the kettlebells, I loved them, so I started teaching them. It was my passion, and I started teaching at 7 gyms around Durham region, and we introduced kettlebells down here, and we got this following of kettlebell people, and it's just, I'm still doing it. I still teach online twice a week, and we love it. So then we got into lifting, but we'll get into that later. So I kind of just take his lead. Whatever Ken tells me to do, I do it. He says, pick that up, I pick it up. I don't know.
Holds onto my belt buckle.
So Sheri, before you had your injury, you didn't have any kettlebell championships under your belt?
No.
So after this traumatic thing, and obviously that's a spinal injury and having all that, that's huge. And then, you came back from that, not only to be active and fit, but to become a champion.
Yeah.
That's quite a feat.
I was active and fit before my injury happened. I was really fit and going to the gym, and I could do 11 chin-ups, and then my back injury hit, and then depression hits and pain hits and weight gain hits, and then I had to have my surgery. But I overcame all that adversity, and yeah, it was a huge comeback for me, and I didn't let age get in my way, because I didn't start lifting till I was over 50.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
But yeah, we used kettlebells really to help rehab her back after her back surgery. That was the first thing that we started to use to help it, because they're so good with, strengthening up your posterior chain. So it was a pretty amazing recovery.
So Sheri, what was your mindset like? I mean, obviously, like you said, you came back and you must have had a powerful mind. There was things fueling you. What was your mindset like coming back from such a serious injury and then becoming a champion by training so hard?
I knew I could get to where I had been before, but I think I really fueled my energy from Ken, because he just takes everything he does and he goes 110%. So when your partner does things that inspires you and encourages you, then you kind of know you can be better. You can be the best version of you. And I think Ken really, without Ken, I probably wouldn't have done it. But it was just, and then having the following that I had and being able to show people that, look at me, I'm doing this, because there's no excuse. You come into the gym and you tell me, oh, you're 40 or 50, you can't do this. Well, guess what? I've got rods and bolts in my back, and you can do it, because I did too, right? So I think having the mentality of being able to show people, look where I came from and look what I did, having to stand up in front of people and say, you can do it too, that's kind of inspiring. And
leading by example.
Yeah, leading
100%. 100%. Yeah, it's a very inspiring story. And a lot of people, they have more minor injuries and they find it tough to get back. And, you know, from such a serious injury, showing how you can come back. And if you have the right mindset and train hard, that there's nothing you can't accomplish at any age.
That's right.
So
I think awesome. I'll just say quick, like, I think a lot of people, when they get injured or they have some kind of a serious injury like that, and they kind of take a different approach to it. A lot of people will use it as a crutch, more or less, to say, oh, I've been injured, I can't do this anymore, I can't do that anymore, or, you know, they won't challenge themselves, or they won't get into the positive mindset, or that I'm going to get back, you know, as good or better than I was before. They kind of go, I'm broken and I feel like I have to stay broken because, you know, it's a setback, and it's a bit of a hump, and you know, everything, I've always said, everything is in your head. You know, 90% is in your head and the other 10% is between your ears. So if you decide you're going to do something, you commit, you can do whatever you want. You can, there's no limitations, you know. It's just, it's coming up with a plan and it's executing the plan, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you guys display obviously a lot of mental toughness. Mental toughness, as you guys know, is part of the curriculum in our exercise therapy level 1 for that very reason, is that, you know, if we can get people's minds right, their body will follow it. And Sheri is a great example of that.
100%.
Okay, let's jump over to Ken and let's talk about your journey, Ken, into fitness. You've been doing this a long time. You know, give us your background story on getting into fitness and what led you to where you are now.
Well, I've always played team sports, you know, ever since I was a kid. So I grew up playing hockey and baseball, soccer, football, you know, all the mainstream sports. Like Sheri was saying, and I always trained to some degree, you know, more or less, nothing too serious, but, you know, exercising and training a little bit here and there, but nothing regimented or anything. But I guess when I got into kettlebells back, I guess about 2006. So it's been about 14 years. And I just happened to be cruising on the internet one time. I found Valery Fedorenko was hosting a coaching course down in Cincinnati, Ohio for kettlebell sport. And I didn't really know much about the sport at the time, but I went down there and met him. He was a great instructor. He's a world champion, you know, set all these world records. So learned a lot of basics down there with him. And then while we were down there, you know, you're networking with people, and then you find out about there's actual competitions for these sports. So I started to look into that and talking. I got his phone number. I was talking to him a little bit, but got involved with the sport and started to compete in the kettlebell sport, which was, it's a tough sport. 10-minute sets. And, you know, and everybody, I get a kick out of, you know, like there's so many different sizes of kettlebells now, but when I started, the only size of competition kettlebells you could get a set of 12 kgs, 16, 24, and 32. So when you started to train, you know, you would get to a certain level, and when you wanted to step up, it was like saying, okay, well, you can deadlift 300 pounds, so now we're going to start training with 500 pounds. That's how much of a jump it seemed like at the time. So I never competed with anything less than 24 kgs. But, you know, the first competition I went to in Michigan, I did the traditional biathlon, which was 10 minutes of jerks and 10 minutes of snatches. And while I was there, they said, did you want to do long cycle? And I'm like, what's long cycle? Which was a clean and jerk. And yeah, so I did that and did really well down there. And everybody was like, where did this guy come from? And, you know, so I did 3 10-minute sets that the first time I ever competed, which was pretty amazing. You know, and then that type of training was just a big eye opener, and a big, huge change from general strength training, like just for overall, you know, work capacity and endurance and overall fitness. I stand by that type of training is probably the best type of training that you can use. The kettlebells are so versatile for so many different things. So I competed with that. for a few years. Went all over the place competing, New York, Chicago, Ohio, a lot of stuff in the States, and did well. Then I got into working in the fire department. I got introduced to the fire fit, which was another challenging sport, crazy. So there was a couple of guys at work that were training, and I got involved with that style of training, which was very demanding. And the first time I did it, I thought I was going to die. Literally, I thought I was going to die. It was crazy. But then it started to figure out, like with any sport, you kind of learn about it, and you learn what's involved, and you kind of figure out what your strategy is going to be for training. So I think it was year number 2, I went to Medicine Hat for the Nationals, and I come in second for the Nationals. And, then I kind of figured out a few homemade training things that I put together that really, really helped. And I had the guys come over to my place to train in the off season for the winter time. And we just did we did some compound movements and stuff, but it was primarily strength training in the winter time. And everybody knocked, the first competition of the year knocked 4+ seconds off their time, which was monumental, just from the different training and how we trained. So that was great. So the following year I won the championship, which was pretty awesome. And
that's great.
Yeah. The same year we went down to the Arnolds, and this is how I got involved in powerlifting. Was we were down at the Arnolds, and we went to the old auditorium where they had an XPC powerlifting meet, and I didn't even really understand what powerlifting was. But my first exposure was, guys like Brian Carroll and Al Meehan and David, like all these monumental lifters, and I'm watching these guys squat. Everybody seems like they're squatting 900 pounds, 1,000 pounds. And I think one guy from the Ukraine squatted 1,200 pounds, and it was just mind blowing.
We're just like,
I was just in awe, really. And so that kind of morphed into a huge curiosity for me. And when I came back, I was just amazed. So I started to look into that, and fortunate for me, I was looking around for federations. I got a hold of Bruce McIntyre, who was the president of the CPF, just sent him an email out of the blue and asked him if there was anybody around the Toronto area that he knew that was powerlifting that I could hook up with to learn what to do. And I got hooked up with Clint Harwood, who was an amazing bench press. He benched 848. Like the first time I went there, and it was just a single car garage, but there's like a dozen guys in there, and he starts benching, and I'm counting the plates on the bar, and I'm just like, how much does this weigh? And he's like, well, that's only like 720. And I'm like,
only.
And so I got involved with those guys and started to compete. And of course, I always have to go full blast. So I go, oh, well, I want to lift in gear, because that's like the nitromethane funny cars. You got to go full blast. Yeah. So I got a suit and a shirt and stuff and started training with those guys. And they were very instrumental in helping me learn how to, because it's a whole different world lifting with that stuff. And I went into my first competition with no briefs, just a suit. I think I squatted 705 the first time, and that was at 48 years old. My first competition was 48. Yeah. So, and I won. And it's like, wow, this is pretty cool. I deadlifted over 600 pounds. My bench has always kind of sucked. I think I only benched 430 or something that time, but it was a great learning experience. And then it just fueled my interest and fueled my curiosity. And, it's the same thing. You go to the competition, you start meeting people, you start networking with people. And, we've been super fortunate with all the people that we met. We've been down to Westside Barbell. We went down to buy some equipment and met Louis Simmons, and he took us, just the three of us, through his gym and played with all this stuff and showed us all this stuff. And here's my phone number if you ever want to come down and train. And I mean,
amazing.
We met so many amazing people through powerlifting, and it's just been a learning experience throughout the whole thing. So that's kind of how I got into what I, ended up in the kettlebells and the fire fit and the powerlifting. It's been quite a fun journey, and we've met so many amazing people. It's insane.
That's awesome. Well, you guys both started powerlifting a little bit later in your lives. And so like, I mean, it really just shows you that it doesn't matter how old you are. Like if you train hard, you train smart, you go to mentors, you guys had mentors along the way that helped you out, that you really can accomplish anything.
Yeah. Well, I'll just go back to, I didn't talk about how I got into powerlifting. Well, I think Ken's second competition, we went to Relentless Detroit, and that was a huge fundraiser for terminally ill children. And I was just there to watch, and Ken kept trying to get me to, get interested in it, because dragging me along anyways, I might as well lift, right? But I'm just watching, and I'm watching these women lift, and I'm like, wow. And I was just like, holy wow. And I'm like, wait a minute, how much weight was that? And Ken would tell me, and I'm like, well, I can do that now, and I don't even train. So this isn't about strength. This is about family and camaraderie, and about mindset, and about overcoming adversity. And it's about challenging yourself to, I'm competing against myself when I go up there. Not anybody else. I don't care how much she's lifting or he's lifting. I'm going out there to be the best version of me. That's your logo, right? That's our motto. So I'm like, I come home and I started training, and I'm just like, I can do this too. So that's what got me hooked. And then I never quit till, I never quit.
That's awesome. And there's a lot of members and clients that are like that. Like the gym is their kind of home away from home, and it's a break from, everything else in life, where they get to work with their trainer or the people they know at the gym. Sometimes people train in a group, and the social atmosphere and encouraging each other. And so a lot of our trainers' clients experience that same thing, which is awesome. So you guys have been training very, very hard. I mean, obviously to win powerlifting competitions and these kettlebell competitions, national titles, you have to train hard. You've been training for a long time. What are some of the keys that some of the trainers that are younger or newer can learn from you guys about training at such a high level for so long?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll start with this. So you gotta listen to your body, first of all, and you have to be smart. You gotta train smart. So you gotta do your prehab and your rehab, and you gotta recognize an injury versus DOMs, and you have to train everything. You have to train your ligaments, your tendons, your back, you have to train everything. You can't just do 3 lifts and be done. You have to train all your muscle groups, and it's a whole package. And you have to have a team. Like you have to have, we couldn't lift alone. We had to have a team of people. So, you have to have a network of people that you can count on and ask questions, and
constructive criticism.
Yeah. And sleep is huge. And,
well, yeah. I was going to say, definitely, when you're training for strength, you definitely have to listen to your body. I'm a big believer in everybody is completely independent of each other. So, just a cookie cutter program for everybody doesn't work. For example, I'm 55 right now. Somebody, I know, crazy. But, so train somebody who's 20 years old or 25 years old versus somebody who's 40, 45, 50 years old. Your recovery is going to be different. Your injuries, your tolerance, everything is going to be a little bit different. So you really do have to find out what works best for you. My biggest stumbling block when I was training for powerlifting was my work schedule, 24-hour shifts. I had a couple of really good mentors and people trying to help me with coaching. Brian Carroll, Chad Ikes, who squatted 1172. I had Todd Brock, who trained at Westside. He was Chuck Vogopol's training partner. I had to cut. There was a point where I was like, I can't do what you guys are asking me to do. I can't work a 24-hour shift and come home and squat 900 pounds sometimes. Like that, the way my schedule changed every week, and you're working 24 hours a day, and sometimes you're up all night and you're beat up, and I had to come up with my own program that worked for me, what I felt was working for me. So if I was exhausted, or if I had a busy night and I was supposed to be training that, I had no problem saying I'm taking a day or two off, and then I'll come back to it when I feel up to it. So my program was a lot different, I think, than a lot of standard training programs, just because of the work schedule and the way that everything worked for me. If I went to anybody and said, okay, well, my work schedule changes every week and I work 24-hour shifts, so how are you going to set up my training? And I've asked guys directly, and they're like, I don't know. They've never had to do it.
Yeah.
So for the young trainers coming up, they need to look at their clients and treat each one individual, and to no two clients are the same and can have the same program, right?
Yeah.
So,
and you really do have to surround yourself with some great people. You have to have, like we were lucky enough. We actually had everything set up in our gym. We had a monolift. We had all the stuff: reverse hyper, belt squat, a competition bench, competition bars, chains, bands, everything. And we had a team of people coming and training at our place. We'd set up training, and even if it was a time when I wasn't able to train, we still have our team of people there. And it's huge to have people there, because you can't see what you're doing sometimes when you're lifting, and you might just be off a little bit, and you'll lift, and then you'll always be getting constant reminders about this. Oh, you didn't do this. Oh, you didn't do this. Your technique, to dial in your technique. So that's really huge if you're trying to lift maximal, max strength.
For sure.
And surrounding yourself with great people. Like Sheri said, we had a great team of people too that helped us hold us together, because it is very hard on your body.
Sure.
Dr. Ken Kanakin, awesome. We went to him all the time for tune-ups, and you have to almost spend as much time keeping yourself able to lift at that level. You almost have to put as much effort into all that small stuff to be able to do this stuff. We had Dr. Ken Kanakin, we had Dr. Stu McGill, who was awesome. All these guys are awesome. Alvin Brown, osteopath. We had
Brendan Fox gave me some exercise.
So many awesome people that we were able to network with, and if we had issues we could go to, we were always going there for chiropractic, acupuncture, adjustments, you name it. We had some resources to help us keep the glue together, or
keep the parts together.
Keep the parts working.
We also spend a lot of money investing in the tools to do it ourselves too. We have, the magnetic ring. We have
a magnetic pulse ring. We've got a percussor. We've got dolphin neurostims.
Yeah, we have it all, so we can fix each other. So we can go in the garage, break, and come back and get fixed, not have to leave the house.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, what I'm hearing is that you spent just as much focus on the recovery as you did on the actual training side of things. So the trainers have to focus on that with their clients. So, if you have a client,
recovery is huge. And like I said, so especially when you're lifting that heavy, your body is getting beat up. So you have to, if you ignore that part and you're not, because a lot of the mindset, I think, in a lot of people when they're training is that, well, this is what my schedule says I have to do. So I feel like crap and I'm tired, but I have to do it because that's what my training template says, and I think that you have to be smart enough on your own to say, my body needs a rest, and, you know, you need to schedule in some rest time. You know, like if I was programming somebody, I would be scheduling in, you know, a week of Dload, you know, just to kind of recoup and re-energize a little bit, because when you're lifting at you know, 80-90% of your max lifts all the time plus, it wears you down real quick.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, you were working 24-hour shifts. What are some of the things, you know, around, you know, trainers are going to have clients, and some of them are going to have difficult schedules, or they're going to be like a shift worker nights and days, and their sleep's going to be irregular. So what are some tips, because obviously you had to do it for yourself, that they can work on with their clients around, you know, helping setting up their training to accommodate good recovery from their sleep?
Yeah, well, and that's the key, I think, is you have to know your clients, and you have to be on top of what their schedule is, what their sleep's like, how do they feel, you know, like a training log. You have to have a training log. I have training logs back there from, you know, like I was going through them the other day. It was kind of funny, you know, when I first started to get into doing the powerlifting stuff, and I found a training entry in there that, you know, I tried deadlifting 345, fail, you know, and I'm like, oh, and, you know, but I always kept notes after my training log too on how I felt. You know what I mean? Like it felt really good, felt strong, you know, or it felt like shit, or my elbow hurts, or my right knee's bugging me, or, you know, like, so I kept a really good log that way. So those are the kind of the things that, as a trainer, you want to have a really good, transparent communication with your clients to find out, you know, if somebody is working swing shifts, you know, somebody's working days, nights, afternoons, you know, how much sleep are they getting? Were they up, you know, like, you might have to make an adjustment. If you have a session with a client, you might have to back down a little bit, or you might ramp up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like everybody is an individual. So
yeah, I really love that suggestion where, you know, trainers are so used to just saying, here's sets, reps, weight, this is what you did, but you're talking about how did it feel?
Yeah.
So that when you hit that workout the next week, or, you know, you have some kind of indication, did this feel heavy, or it felt easy, it felt, you know, good, or, you know, yeah, my shoulder was nagging me a bit. So if trainers are doing those things for their clients, right, not just the numbers, but some of that qualitative stuff too, it can really help them progress their workouts.
100%.
They also need to really pay attention to, excuse me, the technique, because if you're tired, your technique's going to get really sloppy, right? So, and that's just going to lead you to injury. And also you have to look at your female clients too, differently too, with hormones and, you know, monthly cycles and stuff. So everybody's individual, and the trainers just have to know how to treat each person's individual situation to that person, you know?
Because if you lift, you know, I'm just going to give you an example. Like if you lift, if you, for example, you squat, or you do through your squat session one week, and you just feel, you know, like this feels like it's 200 pounds heavier than it should feel. You probably need a rest. Do you know what I mean? And I get a kick. I don't get a kick, but you know, there's a lot of people sometimes, if they have some time off, they feel guilty because they don't train, or, you know, and a lot of the times that's a blessing to have a little bit of time off. You know, somebody takes holidays for a week or two, and they're like, oh man, I haven't been to the gym. And then they come back and they nail these PRs all the time because they've had some rest and recuperate. You know what I mean? And then, you know, but if you're tracking your progress with a log, and paying attention to how you feel, you know, you can almost kind of see when you start to get a little bit, you know, overloaded. I'm not gonna use the term overtraining, but when you can tell that your body needs a rest, and there's nothing wrong. You can't feel guilty about taking 1, 2, 3, 4 days off if you need it. You know what I mean?
So did you guys, when you were programming or periodizing out your strength training, did you guys have set deload weeks, or were you kind of using your body to determine when the deload should be?
Yeah, you know what? I got the strongest when I mean, I was at my, you know, if you have somebody who has a really good technique, if you get the big thing is to get them to teach them right off the bat, technique is number one, right? But when you get somebody who's very proficient in their technique, I made my biggest gains when I did a lot of, I was only squatting once every 2 weeks under a bar. And the rest of my training was pretty much volume training on the belt squat, where I could put in a ton of volume, but not have the load on my back and all the axial pressure on your spine. And I felt like $1,000,000 every 2 weeks squat time. Well, yeah, 850 for a double. It feels okay. You know what I mean? So, but then, you know, you're doing all the work in between. That really seemed to work good for me. But you know, like I said, everybody is different. Everybody's on a different schedule. Everybody's sleep patterns are different. Everybody's nutrition might be good, might not be good. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of little different pieces to the puzzle to make it optimal. If you're looking for a max, you know, what is the maximum amount of weight that I can get at? You know, it's a lot different training for maximum strength versus, you know, just general GPP training, or, you know, I just want to train to feel good or feel healthy. Then you would be on a totally different path than I want to train for maximum strength. Do you know what I mean?
For sure. So, I mean, there's a lot of good wisdom in there about, you know, listening to the body and the rest, and, you know, working with individuals. I did some reading, and Sheri was talking about women and their cycles, and there's actually, you know, some certain weeks, you know, where they're going to be ready for, you know, the 90%, 95% of one rep max, and then other weeks where you have to back off. So if you haven't looked into that, that's a great thing to look into for female strength trainers and competitors.
Yep.
You just shocked a lot of people when you said volume work every other week. And because that's, you know, people don't know about the programming. I think they get set into certain ways of programming, right? So let's talk about programming. You guys have, you know, been champion powerlifters, and you've trained other people that have competed many, many times over. So what does strength training program look like for you guys? Give us an example of a program that might be over a series of weeks getting ready.
Well, I would, if I was just going to, you know, start somebody off, it would be, you know, this is somebody that you probably work with, you know, to start off, and you've got their technique nailed down. I always like to be with somebody if I'm training them, so I can make adjustments to their technique, because if you don't have, you know, honestly, it's pretty easy to kind of slip away from the technique if you don't have somebody there to kind of, you know, guide you to make sure that you're dialed in. And I was the same way. I was always getting constructive criticism from the people that we were training with in our gym here. You know, this is a little off. This is a little off. So it's even just the subtle little things. But I would probably be doing, if I was going to train somebody for max strength, you know, just generally speaking, I would do, you know, a 3-week wave with a deload week. So every month, you know, it would be a build up. It would like the number of sessions and stuff would depend on what level you're at. It's a whole different thing, but I would set it up so, you know, you would start it depending on your abilities and stuff. You know, you would start off at, you know, probably 75% of your max effort on week 1. You know, week 2 would probably be going up to 80. Week 3 would be 85. Then a deload week. Then the following week we do 80, 85, 90, you know, then a deload week. And then we might do a max effort in there somewhere to see where we're at. Like I said, again, it's hard without knowing. I'm just speaking generally.
Yeah.
But we typically would do train 4 times a week, like a max upper speed, a max lower, and a lower speed day. And
like for strength training, I'm a huge proponent of posterior training. I think a lot of people don't spend enough time on it. All your pushing muscles for squatting, deadlifting, benching is all your glutes, hamstrings, you know, your lats, your back, your shoulders, everything is pushing from the back. And I've seen we've had a ton of people come through, and a lot of people that come down to train periodically. Hey, can I come down and train with you guys? Sure, come on down. And we've had some big squatters, big raw squatters come in and put them on the glute ham raise, and they can barely squeak out a couple, 2 or 3 maybe. And it's like, you have no hamstring strength. You start to incorporate that kind of training, and your numbers just go through the roof, So reverse hypers, glute ham raises, stiff-legged deadlifts, a lot of posterior chain, a lot of, for your bench, a lot of lat pull downs, tricep work. I never did curls. I never did, chest exercises or flies or anything like that. It was everything that I did for the most part was all posterior chain. And I think it's huge. And I think a lot of people don't take advantage of, if they spent some time doing that. When you first get on a glute ham raise, people go, wow, this is really hard. So they stay away from it instead of going, what's the best way to get stronger is to work on your weaknesses. I've had guys come in and try them and go, no, I'm not doing that anymore.
I experienced it myself. I got on the glute ham raise. I got humbled by the glute ham raise. But you know what? I went out and bought one.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I went out and bought one because I was like, no, I got to get better at this. So I have one, and I'm working up sets now. So that's good.
Good for you.
But it is humbling. You're right.
Yeah.
I've never competed in powerlifting, but I have squatted, 600 pounds or whatever. And to just walk into your gym and see how weak my posterior chain was very, very surprising. So I know there's a lot of other people that are probably experiencing the same thing.
So, and when we have, we had, for example, and then you kind of come up with some different exercises to attack those weaknesses. So we had a gentleman here that was training who was having a hard time benching. He was a good bencher, single ply, but 500, I guess, 500-ish bench.
I don't know what you're talking about, so.
Okay, well, but anyway, he had a hard time being stable or keeping his back pulled together tight, because everything is tension, right? Everything is squeezed and tense and super stiff, but he couldn't keep his back tight during his bench. So on the reverse hyper, I don't know if you ever see a reverse hyper's got the pendulum on the bottom. We loaded that up with weight. We put a big bar in it, and we got him to just do holds, like squeeze his back together and do holds and count for 10 and try that. So we started to do just some stuff like that we made up exercises that we come up with. And it was a game changer for him.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So it sounds like you're getting a ton of posterior chain exercises in for the accessory work. And where are you guys training those in terms of volume? Is that higher volume? Or are you some of those accessory exercises also a little bit higher in terms of intensity?
I switch it up a little bit. So for example, in all honesty, for me, for my squatting was belt squats, reverse hypers, and glute ham raise. And that was it, and then main squatting. And I did it every training session. But one training session, I might do like 20 glute ham raises, like 3 or 4 sets, just body weight. Then the next time I might do, we have bands around the bottom of the glute ham raise. You put it around for more resistance, makes it a lot harder. The next session you might do, 3 or 4 sets of 12 with an orange band or an average band, or then the next time you might do it with some chains.
For my ladders.
Your ladders, like it's all different. It's the same thing with the reverse hyper, I think, for me anyway, like the minimum amount of weight I did in reverse hypers was 280 pounds, and I was doing them for sets of 20, but huge volume. And I think I went up to 520 pounds or something for sets of 20 on there. And it's cooking. Your posterior chain is cooked, but I would always change up. The intensity on the accessory work like that. So it's either body weight or a little bit of resistance or chains or bands, like that. But it was always the same, exercises, because they were the meat and potatoes of how I got strong. But the belt squat was the game changer for me too, because I would do like the volume on the belt squat. it'd be 60, 70,000 pounds a session, you know, and then my squat every 2 weeks. But by the time I was ready to squat into the bar, I felt like Godzilla for the most part.
That's great. Those are some great takeaways for our trainers, right? You know, making sure that 90% of what they're training in their accessories is posterior chain, you know, including a lot of volume in that and adding up the total weight lifted over a session and measuring it that way, right? Instead of the traditional way, but total weight lifted over a session, and see if their clients can improve that session by session.
Oh yeah.
Sheri, I got a question for you. So, you know, how did kettlebells play into all this? Because, you know, you don't often see powerlifters training with kettlebells to get stronger, but that has been a go-to for you guys. Yeah. So Sheri, talk to me about how kettlebells plays into your training to make you really strong.
Well, like I said, when I first started into powerlifting, I was teaching 9 classes a week. So I was actually physically doing 9 hours of kettlebells a week.
Wow.
So, and it was a full hour. So, and I was full body.
Pretty much a cyborg.
Full body, everything. And it's all ballistic movement. So I was strengthening my tendons, my ligaments, all my joints. And then I started to powerlift. But I didn't have time to do 3 or 4 days of training with all my kettlebell training. So I only did the big 3 lifts. So for the first year, my accessory training was kettlebells, strictly kettlebells. So I never picked up a dumbbell ever. And then I started powerlifting, and every competition I did, every powerlifting competition I did, I increased my lifts. I got stronger every time I trained. So having said that, you can take an 18-pound kettlebell, and how you get better is you increase your weight, or you increase your reps, or you increase your time. So you can
lower your leverage.
Yeah, lower your leverage with your kettlebells. But I think because I got stronger because I kept my body together with my ligaments and my joints. I did have a setback with my shoulder injury. I did tear a rotator cuff bench pressing 205 pounds. I went into surgery 4 years ago. And my surgeon said, well, I don't know how I'm going to be able to fix it, reattach it, because you are 50-something years old. I won't quite age myself. And he said, so we'll let you know when you come out of surgery how I did. So I come out, and he said, I don't know what you do, but he said, your tendons and ligaments were in amazing shape. I was able to reattach everything properly. And within 7 months of my shoulder reattachment, I was competing in my next powerlifting meet. Almost to the same numbers as before I had my injury. So,
wow. So
like I say, kettlebells, just to use kettlebells as an accessory or as a finisher to your program, like kettlebell swings, swing squats.
Which is all posterior chain too, right?
It's everything.
And conditioning for sure, you know. And
it's also, you know, for women, I have a really good article on Elite ATS that I published. It's called Ladies, do you pee when you pull? Some ladies have problems running. They might pee, or they deadlift, they pee. So if you work your Kegel muscles with your kettlebell swings, you know, that tightens that up, and they're just amazing for everything. So I can't say enough about kettlebells and their versatility. And
that's awesome. Yeah. And so, you know, for all the trainers out there, you know, regardless if their clients are strength training for max effort or not, the joint strength thing is a key component out of that, right? Is that working in kettlebell work into their client's program strengthens the tendons and the ligaments and the joints so that they can be max strong, or they can just do all the other things in their life that they want to do and not have to worry about injuries, right?
That's right.
Valery Fedorenko used to say, kettlebells make your ligaments like iron cables.
There you go. Iron cables. I'm going to remember that now.
Yeah.
I'm going to remember that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, you know, there's a lot of new trainers that we see, you know, through exercise therapy and come through the gyms that are, you know, in their 20s and they're just starting out their career. So I'd like to get some advice from each of you guys that you might give to someone that's in their first year or two of their training career.
I would just say, you know what, try and learn from everybody. You know, everybody has something to offer. You will always pick something up from somebody that you'll go, it's like a gold nugget. And I mean, even just, you know, like just the networking, you know, and the stuff that we learned, ask questions, man. Like, you know, we went to powerlifting meets and we're like, oh man, look at all these guys. They're all monsters. But you go up and hi, you know, Brandon Lilly, hi, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And he has, you know, they have no problem telling you if you have questions about how they do this or how they do that. That's how you learn. I've got so many, you know, moments where, you know, at Elite FTS where you know, Dave Tate give me a gold nugget in my benching. He says, you know, I was down there benching when we were down there coaching for the powerlifting experience, and we had a thing with all the athletes and stuff. And when I was benching, I was really descending slow, you know, and then I was really, you know, you got to hold your breath for the whole time. And, you know, he's like, man, pull it down your chest. Like, let it come down to your chest. What are you trying to hold it back for? Bring it down. And it was just like, and it did it. And it was just like, bang. And things like that. Brian Carroll told me the one time, which was an amazing thing that I got right away, was when I was at Westside with him and Dave Hoff. He says, when you're squatting, you know, squeeze your glutes at the top before you start to squat and keep them squeezed all the way down. And it was just like, when I did it, I didn't realize that I wasn't doing it before. You know, you get down to the bottom of squat and then you're trying to engage everything to push. But if you keep everything super tense on the way down there, it was just like a coiled spring that was just wham. And it was just like, wow, one little nugget. And when you start to collect all these nuggets from all these different people, you know, you just kind of build your own little treasure box of information, and you pick out the really good things and some of the things that don't work, and you try some different things, and there are some things that are really good that will work for you, some won't. So you kind of have to pilfer through your treasure box and figure out what works the greatest. And we learned so much from so many people. I mean, I could probably spend 10 minutes telling you, listing off names of people that we've learned from, you know. It's amazing.
Awesome. How about you, Sheri? Advice for some newer trainers?
Okay. I'm going to just say that, you know, stay humble.
Yeah.
Stay humble, and education is power. So the more you learn, you can learn every single day. Every single day. The more you learn, the more you can help people. And there's a network of people out there. So attend, you know, exercise therapy conferences. Attend. Just because you're a personal trainer doesn't mean you know how to teach kettlebells. Like, attend these certifications. Get, you know, the more education you know, the more genres you know, the more people you know you can network with, the better you're going to be, and the better trainer you're going to be, and the more people you can help. And also go to things like Swiss. I mean, Swiss was a game changer for us. That's why we're with you guys, because we met Brendan through Swiss.
Stu Miguel
through Swiss. You know, Ken Kanakin's a great friend of ours, and I support him, and I support what you and Brendan are doing. And there's, you know, they got to go to these places and learn from the experts and learn from the specialists. And, you know, education is power, and just always stay humble and kind, and it will
always treat people the way you would expect to be treated.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. The Swiss conference is absolutely amazing. It was pushed off. It was supposed to be in October, but I think we're going in March of 2021-ish. And so definitely, you guys can check out Ken and Sheri at the Swiss conference next year. Brendan will be there. The best of the best at the Swiss conference. I mean, I was blown away in 2018 at everything that I saw and learned.
Amazing experience.
It's going to be great in 2021. So we got a question from the chat, and they want to know, what is your proudest powerlifting moment? Each of you guys.
You go first.
Oh, I have two, but I'll just say one. So mine would probably be, I was going after 1,000 pound total, raw total, and I missed it once by 5 pounds, and I was heartbroken, but I wasn't quitting. So my best probably proud moment was when in 2016 at the WPC World Championships in Florida, Baton Rouge, 2016. I hit my 1,000 pound total at 1,005 pounds with my 445 pound raw deadlift.
Awesome.
And that was my second competition trying to get my 1,000-pound total. So that was probably my best. Oh, I finally got it. Now I can try gear.
Awesome. Great job. How about you, Ken?
I've had, there's been lots of great times. I think the one that was the icing on the cake for me was my first 900-pound squat. And the reason is because we were at a big seminar, and I had a pretty predominant figure in the fitness world, kind of in a big crowd of people. Somebody said, "Oh, look at this old guy here. He's going to squat 900 pounds." And this guy goes, "He'll never squat 900 pounds." And I think I did it a couple of months later, and it was easy. It was awesome. And it was just a big, it was a milestone for me to hit my first 900. And I couldn't believe how easy it was. Like I went there to do a 900-pound squat. I opened up with 840. I did my second squat, 900. And my coach at the time, Todd Brock, was there, and he goes, "Okay, that's it." And I'm like, "Come on, man. I want to do some more. That was easy."
It's all up here.
Yeah. Like I wanted to keep going, but we just went there to do a 900-pound squat. And, I was just blown away at how easy it was when I did it the first time. So that was mine.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to wrap up here. We're running out of time. First off, thank you so much, Ken and Sheri. It was absolutely awesome to have you guys share your wisdom and knowledge with all of our community that tunes in and sees our weekly webinars. So we really appreciate the fact that you were able to spare some time and hang out with us tonight.
Yeah,
awesome.
Thanks for having us. It was a lot of fun.
So Ken and Sheri, guys, are partnering with me and Brendan, the Exercise Therapy Association. They're doing kettlebell courses. They're doing strength training seminars. We're obviously on a little bit of a hiatus here until we get back live but stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned for the fall. Absolutely. We got to run one last winter, and it was an absolutely amazing seminar. And there's more coming this fall and winter from Ken and Sheri because they are amazing at what they do. More importantly, they are just amazing human beings. And so it's been great working with them, and they're the nicest people, and we really, really love working together with them. So you guys got to check them out. Coming this fall, Ken and Sheri Strength Series.
Awesome.
Thank you to everybody for tuning in. And we really appreciate all you guys during this time, jumping on Facebook Live to hang out with us and learn from us. And we will see you next time.
Thanks, Jeff.
See you later. Take care.
Take care.